What are some interesting or fun Christmas traditions you follow? Where I come from, you don't go trick-or-treating on Halloween, you do it on Christmas Eve. We call it guising. Idea is the kids get all dressed up in their costumes and go home to home in the neighborhood. There wasn't many of us in our area, so we'd all go in a group. When you get there, you'd get invited in and you'd get a biscuit or sweetie, and if you're super lucky, some money, and you chat and say Merry Christmas, then off to the next house. It's a great tradition as it gets the kids out the house so parents can wrap presents. Everyone in the neighborhood gets a visit at Christmas time. You as kids get some sweeties and a quid or two, and by the time you make it back home, you're usually knackered and fall asleep pretty quick. We carried on the tradition as adults and take a dram with us house to house. Get pretty merry and it's a lot of fun. We roll dices, and if you get a 6, you are allowed to pick one of your presents. If all presents are gone, you can give your 6 to others, so it's not one person left that has to play all alone. We do a second round in that you are allowed to open one present with each 6. I have no clue how this tradition started, but I am 23 and I've never done it otherwise. We drive around on Christmas Eve and look at all of the Christmas lights in our town in the surrounding towns, which is super fitting this year given COVID keeps us secluded anyways. Driving around looking at lights will be perfect this year too. We always keep our eye out for Santa while we are out, of course. My mom started a fun tradition of an elf party. She used to have us watch it during Christmas time because it was her favorite, so one year my siblings got her a huge life-sized cutout of Buddy the Elf. She loved it so much she decided to do an elf-themed Christmas party the next year. She decorates the entire house with snowflakes and paper chain links, to make it look like the scene where he spruces up the store. We have spaghetti and lay out Pop-Tarts, Skittles, chocolate syrup and all. We have a snowflake making competition, watch the movie, and this year we did a snowball dodgeball fight. She found some fake huge cotton balls to use for it. She's a great entertainer, and it's the best party I've ever been to. Technically not a Christmas tradition since it's a Sinterklaas tradition, but who counts? Surprises, the English word but then spoken like a complete Dutch word. It's a lot like Secret Santa but with a lot more effort. You draw the name of another person in the group and you buy them a present. However, it doesn't end there. You wrap that present not just in wrapping paper but also in an elaborate arts and crafts item that references the person you're giving the present to. This can reference a hobby or their work or something that happened to them this year or something else that is applicable to the recipient. But that's not all, you also write them a poem in the name of Sinterklaas. This poem is usually in relation to the arts and crafts part and may also include a bit of a roast of the recipient, but it doesn't have to be. At last we get together and share the surprises. One by one they are revealed, the poem is read aloud by the respective recipient, which usually gets some laughs, and the arts and crafts wrapping is opened and the actual present is revealed. It's a hassle to think up and create a new one each year, but it's also a hell of a lot of fun to make them and open them. Every year new creative things are made and funny poems written, so it's worth it. Well, we have certain decorations we play around the holidays. A vintage sleeping Santa we plug in and let snore and whistle a song all night on Christmas Eve and turn it off in the morning. Then we have this old Christmas carousel we play while making dinner in the kitchen during Christmas Day. It's very pretty and also sings songs. Also, being Polish, we hang a pickle ornament on the tree and make pierogies. We also usually open all of our presents on Christmas Eve night and then just save a few Santa presents for Christmas Day, which is probably the weirdest part. Guess we're all just impatient, lol. My brother and I always try to wrap our gifts as ugly as possible. When we were younger, my grandma gave my sister and I a bag of oatmeal and sugar, sort of as a joke, to sprinkle in the yard so that Santa's reindeer could find our house. We loved it. Ever since then my mom makes little bags of oatmeal and sugar for us to sprinkle in the yard. We are 30 years old now and still doing this. Over the years we have gotten husbands, in-laws, neighbors, family friends, and our own children involved in the fun. Sometimes we throw the oatmeal at each other, sometimes we frolic while we spread it, it changes every year, but it is always something we find time for. Broiled, buttered toast and hot cocoa for breakfast. Like 3 to 4 loaves worth. It's so simple, but I look forward to it every year. Every year our family sings this song. We always called it Uncle Bud's song. After looking it up, it's basically that's what I learned in my school nursery rhyme. But with our family's twist on it. We're a pretty wild family. It's always a hit. We FaceTime out-of-town family members and they always just chime in with us. It's honestly my favorite part of Christmas. We have a big family. Every year we would do a gag gift and pull a paper out of a hat. You would write down the initials of something you wanted, and the person who picked would try to guess what it was while getting something to match the initials. So if you were JB and a kid, I would get jelly beans, or jumping beans. When we got to play in the adult game that was more fun, you could get really creative with your letters lol. We would open from oldest to youngest and it was so much fun. You also had to guess who you think had you. We have to line up at the door in age order and wait until my dad goes in to check if Santa's been before we're allowed in. Can't wait until there are little ones to join the front of the line. My family has a tradition of wrapping up a fruit cake from the 1950s. It's one of those little Debbie ones pumped full of preservatives so it never will rot. Each year a random family member is picked by my grandma, sometimes she picks herself. It's always fun to see who gets the fruitcake. A tradition in Colombia is waiting until midnight on Christmas Eve, and then open the presents. Most people don't do it anymore, but we still do it with our family. A few in my family. Making homemade party mix, Chex Mix, every year. Christmas Eve dinner at my uncle's complete with birthday cake for baby Jesus. Abel's kivers and maple sausage on Christmas morning. Mom's side has Danish roots, a pickle ornament and a bird's nest in the tree. Without fault, my family will watch Home Alone every Christmas Eve. We can quote most of the classic lines between us and will look forward to it all year. Last few years, since we have all reached drinking age, we'll usually go out for afternoon drinks and come back and watch it drunk. Makes it even more hilarious. I love it. My grandparents have this 2 Santa Clauses which are both 40 centimeters high outside their front door. They have lived in apartments whole my life. Every time somebody leaves the house they will put the Santa Clauses on each other like they have sex. My grandparents always have to put them up straight again. And my grandfather always will look like he is angry but then laughs sneakily. Unfortunately last year's was the last time we could do it, since my grandfather is now in a nursing home. Every year that we've been together, my wife and I have gone for one drink at the same upscale lounge near our house, bitched about how overpriced it is, and then gone home to drink tequila and watch Home Alone. The Home Alone drinking game rules are ruthless, by the way. A bottle of tequila doesn't even get 2 people halfway through the movie. We had only been dating for 2 months the first time this happened, but it's become our favorite little moment of every holiday season. We weren't able to actually go there this year due to COVID, so instead we picked up an overpriced bottle of liquor and sat on the park bench across the street from the restaurant sipping a drink and bitching about how much we spent on one bottle. In a year full of shitty, unsatisfying compromises, this one worked out pretty well. Every year on Christmas Eve my family would go to my aunt's house. There would be like 20 of us and there would be so many gifts around the tree. My uncle would always make deer chili and my aunt would cook whatever else like ham and desserts or whatever. We would all eat and then my aunt would pass out all the gifts. When she was done we would all just rip into our gifts at the same time. My cousins would go around giving us money. I was always so excited for Christmas because I knew we'd all get together again. My favorite part about it was just being surrounded by our family. My parents always worked their asses off each holiday season, taking on as much overtime as they could get to give us the best Christmas. Then on Christmas Day my brother would wake up super early before everyone and come wake me and my other 2 brothers up. Then we'd all go into the living room and lay down to wait for our parents to wake up. The gifts would always be set up in perfect order. My dad was super particular about how everything should look around the tree. Our stockings were always stuffed with candy and other surprise gifts. We would play with our gifts together, snack and lay around watching A Christmas Story, because you know they play in all day on a certain channel. I don't live near my parents anymore, unfortunately, but they still have Christmas with my brothers, their wives and my niece and nephews. I try to imitate the Christmas my parents gave us for my kids now. I want them to grow up with the same love and excitement for Christmas that we did. My family is large, so my mom never wrote names on gifts. Instead numbers. But each gift had a different number. It wasn't like one number per kid but pretty random. One year though she lost the list, and with all 7 kids opening gifts it was chaos. My brother would open a bra meant for my sister for example, and my mom just yelled over everyone who the gift belonged to and we would throw them across the living room. It's one of my favorite Christmas morning memories. Now with my own 3 children, they're young, but still each gift has a unique number so they can't guess which is whose gift.